Thursdays radio show, presented by Aurora Healthcare, the healthcare choice of Marquette Athletics. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us into the new year for our first show. Welcome back, Coach.
Great to see you.
A big win last night.
Yes, thank you. Excited about that. Excited about that.
66-65. You held him to the last possession.
Yeah, I think, Ben Gold deserves a game ball for that game. He really played through a lot of bumps and bruises. His ankle's been banged up, and he's shown this incredible fight and toughness. He made some big plays at the end. He had that dunk off the pass from NJ to give us the lead back. And then really, really good defense on that final shot from Xavier. And that's an important nuance there to play aggressive defense without fouling. Mm-hmm.
And you've talked about how important the offensive rebounding is.
Yes, we had 19 offensive rebounds last night. We tell our guys a lot, offensive rebounding is required to go win the game. And, last night was a good indication of that. We had 19 that we got back. I think we scored about 1.4 points per possession off of those, and we needed every bit of that. I think these games, these Big East games are long. All of a sudden you've got a 13-point lead. You feel, good about how things are going, and then, there's a turnover, some made threes by them, and then all of a sudden it's a possession ball game. And I thought Xavier did a great job continuing to fight, but, our guys, we won the last minute, which is what counts most.
When they cut that lead down, what did you like from the team, how they responded to that?
Well, I think like everyone, all of our fans and everyone here, there was a little bit of, on the guys' faces, a little bit of look of, but I thought our guys showed really good resolve, and they, in the timeouts, they were saying all the right things. Their connectivity was really good. We talk about eyeball contracts, so the way they, were viewing each other, looking at each other, helping each other. And NJ he has a different type of competitive energy from the standpoint of like, okay, I'll go make the play. And, you got to have someone that, has that fearlessness to him. He got his own miss back on the rebound, and that's what created the pass to Ben to give us the lead back. And again, the stop before we scored was important because they were up one, and, if you don't get a stop there, then they can extend that lead and make it a really, really tough game. So just told our guys, we've had a lot of games this season where easily after the game, we could say, hey, we could have won or we should have won, but we didn't. And this game right here, the guys made sure that we did. They did what was required to win the game, and that's a real step, and hopefully we can build on that going into Saturday.
Of course. Someone else that also stood out, I think, was Royce. He was the highest scorer, 14 points, 8 rebounds. You mentioned he had a really difficult job of guarding. Who was it?
Yeah, Trey Carroll, number 12. Xavier's, leading scorer and a guy that's really, really difficult to guard because he's got good size and he's also good around the basket and shooting the ball from outside. Royce really took on the challenge. We gave all of our guys a couple game goals, and his was related to defending Carroll, and he did a really nice job there. We didn't hold him scoreless, but we made things. When Royce was guarding him, made things a little bit more difficult, contested some shots. And just Royce's whole way was really good yesterday. The way that he was aggressive, the way that he rebounded the ball, the aggressiveness with which he played on the defensive end, which, sometimes you can be aggressive on offense, but not so much on defense. He brought it both ways, which was huge. Big step for him as a sophomore, taking ownership of, everything else beyond just scoring.
A lot of other people, I think, also have been kind of working their way, not into the lineup, but, bringing them out. We have Adrien Stevens and Michael Phillips, both their moms here tonight. They're going to join us later on the show. Not the moms, the players are going to join us. But what have you liked from those two players, Josh Clark as well, kind of growing on the court?
Well, all the guys we're talking about are freshmen. We'll start with Adrien. His mom, Danielle Frederick, is here, so great to have you. Saturday, I get my days confused. Saturday is Marquette Moms Day, so we're very excited to have the vast majority of our moms coming in. Adrien, he worked his way into the starting lineup several games back, and he's someone that I've probably probably spent as much or more time with Adrien than anyone on our team, just from the standpoint of, relationships. He loves, just talking, sitting and talking and, trying to figure things out. He's a very deep thinker. He really cares. He cares about his teammates. He cares about winning. And as a coach, those are all great qualities. Those are things you look for in a player. And I think that this freshman year has been one for Adrien and NJ where there's been so much that's been thrown at them from the standpoint of what we're asking them to do as starting guards in the Big East. But I think the way that he's handled that and the way that he keeps coming back and learning and growing. We had a long talk on the plane on the way back from UConn. And, I thought he did a really good job applying a lot of the things we talked about last night in the game.
And
Michael Phillips.
Yes.
Yeah, so Michael's mom, Crystal, is here, and we're excited about Michael. We had a film session today, and, I said, Mike, you could be a senior at Grace Christian High School right now because, a lot of you guys might know this. He literally skipped his senior year in high school. He's the youngest guy on our team. He's a guy that is just going like this, as a person, as a player. His willingness to be uncommon in his approach is very, very special. He's got this quality that's really, really cool that you don't see very much from guys of this age, which is he really doesn't care what anyone else thinks as long as he's doing the right thing, which is a really special quality at 18 years old. I have a teenage daughter, so I know the effect of peer pressure and wanting to, please those around you. But Mike just wants to do the right thing, and, he's getting better and better. It's great that he's worked his way into our rotation. He had some games earlier in the year where he sat and watched, the whole game, and now, he's getting in the game. I think he had a career high minutes at UConn. He's got a lot of really positive qualities about him as a player that I think are going to come out more and more. Him and Adrien on the percentage side of things are by far the best shooters on our team. So I told those guys both in the film session, we got to get you guys more shots. And they just keep getting better and very excited about them. And then you mentioned Josh Clark. The good news is, everybody, Josh Clark has grown an inch since last year. Literally, he's grown an inch. The bad news is he's still learning his body, so that's why sometimes he doesn't make the play as quickly as we want him to, because literally, he's figuring out this new body that he has. It's still growing, but super excited about his development as well. He had his best game of his young career at UConn, 6 points, 6 rebounds in about 12 and a half minutes, and he falls into place because he's 7'1", and so we got to continue to get him stronger and get him tougher. But I love the way that he's taking ownership now and what he has to do, and I think his future is really bright.
I think there's been maybe a lot of pressure, to have that starting five, but I really like what you've done with so many people have been able to play and see new roles on the court. And is that different as a coach to not always have a same starting five?
It's different. Honestly, if you had 5 guys that were head and shoulders better than everyone else all the time, then that's the ideal.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate. We've had some years here recently where, our top 5 or 6 guys was just cut and dry, and nothing against everyone else on the team, but at that, those were the guys we needed to have in the game as much as possible. And I knew going into this year was going to be a little bit different. I told the guys in our very first meeting in early June when they got here, I said, guys, we've had 8 starters in 3 years. We might have more than 8 starters this year. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, I think that's exactly how many we've had. And we're going to continue to grow guys and get guys better. Some of it's been due to injury, unfortunately, Sean, with the injury bug. Some of it's been due to just some of our younger guys playing better than maybe guys that were older. But it's at the end of the day, it's not really about who starts. It's about the 5 guys in the game at any given time coming together around a common cause, supporting the heck out of each other to go do something that we all want to do, which is go win.
Of course. Well, again, a great win last night, and when we come back, we're going to talk about these new jerseys.
You got it.
Marquette fans, there's nothing like a sea of blue and gold when you're catching your Golden Eagles live and in color. Get tickets all season, even if it's last minute, at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Marquette Golden Eagles.
Hey, Golden Eagles fans.
You all for being here again tonight. Thank you, Coach. Let's talk about these new uniforms that were designed by Chase, Ben, and Sean. And they really connect kind of the past with the present, right?
Absolutely, and got to give Ben Retzloff some credit. He's, a member of our comms team in our program, and just does an unbelievable job with creative design. And we got the idea last year, a couple years ago, to each year do an alternate uniform, not something that we wear often, but an alternate uniform that is kind of a combination between the rich history of Marquette uniforms that we all enjoy so much, reflecting on and looking back at and seeing all the pictures, and then also something new, that the guys can create that's, uniquely specific to that team. So last year we had some that were inspired by the, Miami Vice, Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat uniforms. I think those got maybe mixed reviews from fans. Some liked them, some didn't like them. It didn't help that the first time we wore them, we lost that game. So sometimes you combine that with the result. This year's uniforms, man, the guys did a really good job, and Ben Retzloff, they did a great job pulling from a couple different uniforms from the 70s to inspire this year's uniform. There's, and there's a great video, if you haven't seen it, of Earl Tatum that we recorded recently. Some of them were taken from the zigzag on the side from back when he played. So really, really cool for the guys to be able to design their own uniform. We plan on doing that each year and kind of giving our older guys or different guys on our team the creative license to come up with that. And again, I told the guys there's been 109 years of Marquette basketball, and there's been some really, really cool uniforms, including the untucked uniform where it said Marquette on the bottom, which is just an iconic, that'll always be an image, seeing Bo Ellis, wearing that uniform in the Final Four. But I told the guys, hey, you're the only team ever to wear this particular uniform. So what we do with it last night, it matters. The uniform is made more cool. That untucked uniform that Bo wore was made a lot more cool because of the winning that he did and all the great memories that he created and his team created. So I'm glad our guys were able to make that uniform a winning uniform last night.
If you had to pick a favorite throughout Marquette history, do you have one? It's a tough question, I know.
Yeah, there's so many different ones. My personal favorite is the gold that was worn by, Jarrell and Wes and Jimmy Butler and those guys for that stretch of time. I guess, that's probably when I watched Marquette basketball the most, obviously before getting here. And I just remember so many great moments and so many great players wearing that uniform.
What does someone like Earl mean to the team, kind of that connection throughout history?
I got a poster of Earl Tatum in the back of my door in my office, and he's shooting a jump shot, and he's like, literally looks like he's 3 feet off the ground. Back then you shot like jump shots, like way up. And he came by the office the other day, and it was good to spend some time with him. He's always, one thing about Earl Tatum is he'll tell you the truth, and so he's always been really good with, he's come to practice some, giving us feedback. He relates a lot of stuff back to when he played, and not just, sometimes guys that played a while back, it's only about the good or only the glory days. He'll talk about some of the challenges and some of the things that, he went through and some of the adjustments. He talks a lot about coming out of high school, how hard it was to adjust to being at Marquette and maybe a different style of coaching, different style of playing. He says, hey, I wish we played as fast-paced as you guys do. No, I would have scored more points. A lot of those guys say that. But, it's, at the end of the day, it comes down to winning, and that's what those guys did at a high level.
Of course. While we have 2 moms in the building.
3.
Yeah. 3, wait.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we have LaDonna Clark, too.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so now we got 3 in the building, and this weekend, of course, is Marquette Moms. Can you explain kind of the significance of that day? Yeah,
so this started, about a year and a half ago. We were in the office, and we were talking, amongst our support staff, and I was just out, by a couple of their desks, and, we somehow this notion of Marquette Moms group text came up. And I knew that the moms had good relationships and communicated, but I didn't really think of it along those lines. And Noreen, our director of operations at the time, she said, oh, yeah, it's a very active text thread, and they're always communicating and talking about how they can support the players and support the program. And I said, wow, that's really cool. And somehow from there, kind of came up with the idea that we should do a Marquette Moms game. So last year it was, right after the holidays, or right after Christmas, we played Creighton, and it was Marquette Moms night. And we honored the moms in a few different ways. We did some fun stuff, programming at halftime. Before the game, Lisa Joplin sang the national anthem, who's got a great voice, and she did great. It was actually really, really moving to David Joplin to see his mom singing the national anthem before his game. And he kind of got a little emotional, and I was watching him, and I got emotional watching him. So it was a great moment. Obviously, it's not much different than the uniforms. If you win the game, it feels a lot better. And so we were able to win the game for our moms, and we decided, hey, this year we're going to do, because the dads felt some kind of way about that we just did moms. I was raised by a single mom, so I was always partial to moms over dads, and that was kind of my own issue. But, this year we did both, and excited about having Marquette Moms Day on Saturday.
And the moms are 1-0, you said.
They're 1-0.
Maybe they can extend their records to 2-0.
And Lisa Joplin is coming back to sing the national anthem again.
Wow.
So, the one thing that, we really take a lot of pride in is, once you're a Marquette Golden Eagle, you're always a Marquette Golden Eagle. And I believe that applies to our parents as well. Once you're a Marquette mom, you're always a Marquette mom. And so it's really cool. Lisa Joplin still comes to every home game.
Wow.
She's at every home game. And she waited last night until I was done with, all the stuff in the locker room just to give me a hug after the game. And, it's really cool that her son is halfway across the world in France playing basketball. But she's still really connected to our program, and she still really wants us to do well just as much as she did when he was playing. And I don't take that for granted because in this day and age, that's not necessarily the case with all parents.
Yeah, and just having 3 of them here, the presence, how important is that as a player?
Well, I think, it's really important for our guys that they know that their parents are really invested in their growth and development and their success. And I think we tell the players all the time, do not let outcomes obscure your focus on growth. So in other words, if you do great, don't get complacent and stop wanting to grow. If you don't do very well for a stretch of time or you have some humbling outcomes, don't let that get in the way of your focus on growth. And I think that nobody can promote that message more than families, because families have been around these guys since they literally were born.
Yeah.
And, at that time when they were young kids, there wasn't these highs and lows on social media of how they did in a highly competitive basketball game. It was just about, as I tell our guys, when you're 9 years old, you woke up and you were playing for a team, let's say the Lakers, and you were going to play against the Pistons, it's 11 a.m. And you just tried to win, and when the game got done, you moved on with your life. Now it's really, really important. But, I read something the other day, and this is from John Kabat-Zinn. He said, "This is too serious to take it so seriously." And I thought, wow, that's pretty good.
You said last night, I really like this, you have to appreciate the good to improve the bad. And I think you meant it when we were talking the layups and the offensive rebounding, but I think that's a really good message.
Yeah, I think you got to appreciate it all. I think you got to appreciate everything. And I think, I was talking to Caden about this today because, he's kind of gone through a tough stretch. And, a lot of times, again, when you don't necessarily get the outcomes you want, part of your mind can question, is what I'm doing worth all the work I'm putting in? Because every guy on our team, regardless of whether they're a starter, they score a ton, they don't score much at all, they all put in a ton of work, including our walk-ons. And so you've got to know that it's worth it. But part of what helps you with that is literally having an appreciation and gratitude for everything, every moment. I tell the guys all the time, when you walk out there, look around. We play at Fiserv Forum. We play at Marquette. We're playing in the Big East. We're on national television. What would the 15-year-old version of you say? And I think those perspectives are really important, even when you have tough outcomes, because I can tell you this, whether it's Oso Ighodaro, Tyler Kolek, guys that I've coached that maybe had some humble times before they became what they became, what they appreciate most now is what they went through and being able to go through it together with others, teammates and coaches, and stay tough and just keep going and keep learning. Oso played 38 minutes his entire freshman year. But, man, when I got the job here in the spring of his freshman year, he had the best attitude of any of the players.
Yeah.
After playing 38 total minutes. Well, that was a really good precursor of what was coming for him in terms of what he was going to become.
Of course. So 2 of them here tonight. We have Adrien and Michael. They're going to come on later. Give us a little insight into those 2 players, as people, as players, whatever.
Man, I've coached a lot of guys. I can't name, many guys that, really any, that I'd rather be around than these 2 guys. They're a lot of fun to be around. They have, all of our freshmen, they have very distinct personalities. But when you get them together, it's a lot of fun because, they kind of bring each other's personalities out. Adrien is just a worker. He's very intelligent. He's a guy he's got a lot in common with Stevie Mitchell. A lot. There's a lot of things that Stevie had going for him when he played here that Adrien also has. And they also are real thinkers and sometimes really hard on themselves. That goes along with being smart. Michael Phillips is just, he's uncommon, is the best thing I can say about him. It's actually emotional for me because I coached a guy my first couple years at VCU when I was a young coach, and that was a word I always used with him. And this guy always wanted to become a Secret Service member. And I was like, man, you're going to have to be really uncommon to be that. And he was like, I'm going to do it. And so we talked all the time about it and the process. We did a lot of research on how he could become that. And now the guy, because I'm old, he's old. He's like 35 years old. And he's in the Secret Service, and he's been on the detail of 3 different presidents. So it's like when you do something uncommon later on, you got to reflect back on the uncommon young guy that was willing to take the right approach and be a little bit different, and then that led him to great things. And that's Mike at a young age at 18 years old.
Where do you see them growing into a different role here in the future?
Well, Michael Phillips is going to be a guy in his time here that's going to bomb in like 6, 7 threes in a game, pretty regularly. That's coming. Adrien's got a chance to be one of the great guards that we've had here, in recent memory. Like I said, I think, I hope he's not listening, but I think he can be even better than Stevie. And he just has a lot of qualities about starting with competitiveness that lead him, to be successful. He's starting as a freshman in the Big East, him and NJ, which is not easy to do. And the thing about him is already on the defensive end, he's a plus defender, which means we can put him on a lot of different guys. Last night, he started on a guy who's 6'9", and he does really well there. So both these guys' futures are really, really bright. I'm grateful for them, in a strange way. I'm grateful for them that early in their careers, we've gone through a lot of adversity because it's going to drive them even more to push them to really grab hold and ownership of the team to drive us to great things.
Of course. We've talked a lot about them, but you're going to hear from them themselves after this break. Thank you.
Step into Harley Davidson's iconic legacy at the world's only Harley Davidson
and home to Marquette checking with free ATMs nationwide. Please welcome Adrien Stevens and Michael Phillips. Thank you both for being here. It's excited to have you guys on. We're going to start with your background a little bit. Adrien, with you went to Bullis School. You won a lot in high school. You were a pretty important player when it comes to head coach Bruce Kelly. Talk about that a little bit in your experience.
Bruce Kelly was, a great driver for who I am today as a person and a player. He's really influenced me in a lot of ways. And, he really harped early on in my high school career on if I wanted to get on the floor, I had to be able to defend at a high level. And, that's how I got to play there. And then my role developed there, and then we ended up winning a lot as time went on. And so, that's always stuck with me, being a defensive player, defensive-minded player. So, I got to give him a lot of credit for that.
Michael, with you skipped your senior year of high school. You're the youngest kid on the team. Talk about that experience. What led you to making that decision?
I just had a great relationship with Coach Smart, during recruiting, all that. Coach Cody, they told me, why not come up here early rather than spending, another year in high school or in prep school where you could grow more and grow fast. So that's kind of the big reason why I came up here.
How do you feel like you've grown so far since coming here?
I feel like I've grown pretty good, made tremendous strides, especially on defense. That was the biggest thing that I needed to work on, coming in here. And day by day, it's just been great, seeing the improvement. So,
with your high school experience, Michael, is it true you scored 50 points in a game and got ejected on the same night?
Yeah, that is true. I did get ejected out that game for hanging on the rim, apparently. But
he's a bad guy.
I didn't think it was that crazy. Because if I would have let go, I would have squished the kid under me. So.
And we can't have that, obviously.
No, not at all.
Adrien, talking about your family a little bit, your brother is a really good soccer player. Can you talk about that story?
There's not really a story there. He's a good soccer player. He's a hard worker. He's going to go play at the college level one day. And, now he's a junior in high school. And, my mom played soccer in college. So, that's kind of probably where he gets it from. But, big-time soccer player.
Speaking of moms, for both of you guys, Marquette Moms Day on Saturday, how special is it to have your parents here all the time? You're away from home, you're at school, you're still playing basketball at a high level, and you get your parents here to watch. What does that mean to you?
For me, having my mom here means everything to me. Me and her are really close, and we have a really good relationship. So, having her here means a lot. And, just being able to look over and practice and see her face just makes me, just feel a little bit better about what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, same for me. My mom's been my biggest fan. You could always hear her on the sidelines. Sometimes I say I couldn't, but she was definitely the loudest. But she's always been there to support me, encourage me, and especially all the sacrifices that she's took just get me where I am right now. It's been amazing.
Michael, you have a pretty strong friendship with Ben Gold, one of the seniors on the team. How has he been a mentor for you in your game?
Just letting me know where to be at certain times on the court. He's a shooting big, so he helps me, especially when we get shots up together, just gives me certain tips and stuff to just see the ball go in more. And, he's just a great teammate overall and always looking to encourage somebody. So.
Now, I got a little inside information. I got to give a shout-out to Stevie Mitchell. I talked to him earlier today about the comparisons that have been made between you, Adrien, and Stevie. Now, he told me a really cool story. So when you guys were being recruited, he was your host. Can you explain from your end what the host system is like?
When a recruit comes in, he gets a player that he gets to be with for that day or however many days he's here. And so, it's basically you're living their life for a couple of days, and, you really get to see what Marquette's about, what the ins and outs are, how you're going to wake up in the morning, what you're going to see. And it was a really cool experience for him to be my host, and that was kind of the start of our relationship. And then ever since then we've been getting closer and closer, and I respect him a lot and I look up to him.
Yeah, and Stevie was my host too, especially coming here. He challenged me in a shooting drill and he actually beat me, and so that's kind of been my motive to shoot the ball better than Stevie Mitchell. So.
I love it. Now, don't lie. He told me that you guys both 1v1'd him. I know what happened. Do you want to explain what happened in the 1v1s?
He's lying. He recalls it as he beat me by a couple spots, but I don't think that happened. it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, I gotta go with Stevie on this one. He said you like to foul a lot.
Okay, yeah. Coming from him, that's rich. That's rich.
Fair enough, fair enough. Michael, you talk about your shooting ability. Where does that come from? You're known as one of the better scorers on the team.
Just my dad. Like he kind of taught me how to shoot the ball at an early age. He taught me like the basics and stuff, and I just stuck with it and kept building on that. And then like just constant reps in the gym, like with Jack Anderson, one of our GAs. He's great at helping us get shots up, just like being there for us and giving us certain drills and situations. And then just continuing to rep it out and just to get better when it's automatic.
No doubt about that. Adrien, you became a starter a month into the season, quickly getting into that role since you've come onto campus. What has that process been like for you? What have you learned the most about yourself?
What I've learned is that I always kind of want more for myself. I remember coming into the season being like, I'd be okay with, if I got in the game, played 15, 20 minutes a game, stuff like that. And now looking at where I'm at now, I'm starting and, I kind of want to take even more steps with that. So, I just want to continue to get better and continue to grow and continue to, just provide for my team.
Absolutely. For both of you guys, what's the thing you've learned the most from your first semester of college?
I would say that readiness is probably one of the most important things. Like sometimes you be in a stance, but you're not ready, and then you get caught slipping like on a stagger or something. But if you're ready, then you're prepared. So that was probably the most important thing for me.
I say for me, the biggest thing is just that challenges are gonna come and they're not gonna stop coming. So you just got to be able to find the people that really believe in you and, hold on to those people as you go through those challenges and, that'll make it easier.
Absolutely. You've both been through a couple Big East games now. What is it like playing in the Big East?
I say it's really special. It's a special league, no football. And, the schools are really focused on basketball, so, it's cool to be in that situation. And, like I said, it's just special. I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, I would say it's like really exciting. The Big East is known for like big, tough guys, and that's what I think that we are, and we could just continue to build on that, continue to just keep scrapping it out. So,
absolutely. What's been your favorite part of playing basketball here at Marquette so far in your young careers?
I would just say like the relationships that I built, like since I've been here, like just going through adversity with my brothers has probably been like the best thing for me, and like they have my back and I have their back, and it's just exciting to like continue to see us grow.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Just how connected I've been, with the guys here, and how I feel like the guys that I met a couple months ago are like family to me, and you go through every day with them, tough things, good things, bad things. So it's that special.
Absolutely, and Coach talks about it all the time. We get to play basketball in Fiserv Forum. When he says that to you guys, you've obviously experienced that now for close to half a season. What does that mean to you when you hear that and get to experience those moments?
I really think Fiserv is a special place. Obviously it's an NBA arena, but just the people and the energy that is in that building every time we play. It's really special, and the people that come out and the people that support us. We just are really grateful for all those people, and it's a special place.
Yeah, I just see it as like a great opportunity to take hold of something that many people can't. And, just to walk in every day with your brothers and to go to war with them, it's just very special to be part of this. So,
absolutely. Well, guys, thank you both for being up here with me this evening. Let's give Adrien and Michael a big round of applause. Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum is the place to be for all Marquette fans this season. Make sure to join us on select Thursday nights throughout the season to hear from head coach Shaka Smart and his players. Our next show is January 29th when Royce Parham will join us here at Motor Bar and Restaurant. Bergstrom Automotive, driven to deliver great guest experiences across Wisconsin. Proud to support Marquette Basketball. Guys, let's give it up for Michael and Adrien one more time. We will be back with more Marquette Thursdays after the break.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
With the bullet, it's not even close. Like a
of Marquette Athletics. CareSource is a nonprofit health plan that leads with heart. As part of an ongoing commitment to investing in the people and the communities they serve, they're proud to partner with Marquette Basketball to support Sharp. For every assist made, CareSource will contribute $10 to the Reading with the Golden Eagle program. Marquette has 219 assists so far this season. Coach, welcome back. Great win yesterday as well. You guys got Villanova coming up on Saturday. Tough Big East opponent. What do you guys got to do to protect the home floor?
Well, I think it's important for us to continue improving on the defensive end. We talk a lot about making the opponent miss. Villanova, they'll pose a heck of a challenge with that. They're led by three really high-scoring guards that can get going at any given time. And so we're going to have to do a great job defending those guys. They can both score around the basket, but they can also get going from outside. So that's going to be a huge key. But, us continuing to build our defensive identity, I think we've taken some steps in that area in our last 3 games. And again, it starts with trying to, do a great job making people miss because, with these guys that we play against, they're sure as heck not going to miss on their own.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Coach Kevin Willard, familiar face for Big East fans. He was with Seton Hall for a while, now back with Villanova. What does a Coach Willard team bring to the table?
He's a great coach. I mean, we coached against him my first year here at Seton Hall. Then he went to Maryland. We coached against him last year at Maryland. Now him being at Villanova, he's doing a terrific job so far. He does a nice job with, making sure that the pieces he have play their roles, and he fits them well together. They are always known for executing great on the offensive end, and then on the defensive end, changing defenses and keeping people off balance. He's always done a great job with that. So we got to make sure that our aggressiveness on the offensive end is high, regardless of what defense they're in. Sometimes you can spend too much time and energy trying to figure out exactly what the other team's doing, and it can get you on your heels. And it's a heck of an opportunity for us on Saturday because being on the court again after last night's game, it gives us another opportunity to move forward. I told the guys before last night's game, I said I've never been more excited about a game. I feel that way even more so for Saturday.
Absolutely. And, they've been really good offensively this year. They make shots at a high level, like you said. How do you make them uncomfortable on offense when they come into Fiserv Forum on Saturday?
I think hand activity, getting our hands in the basketball. We had 38 deflections last night, which is by far the most we've had in our last several games. Xavier came into the game taking care of the ball really, really well, making sure that we have great hand activity and aggressiveness, regardless of the opponent, is huge. So the same applies, on Saturday against Villanova. And I think us being at home, it's really, really important to make sure that we bring the type of energy and activity and enthusiasm that will be reciprocated by our fans, because when we do, that building really gets going, and it's a huge advantage for us.
Speaking of that, what level of appreciation? I'm sure it's very immense, but when the fans bring the energy, because you guys bring the energy, what does that do for the arena and for the atmosphere that Fiserv Forum can present?
You can't really put it into words. I tell the guys often that the responsibility is ours to be the initial domino in terms of the way we play, the spirit that we bring, the energy we bring, and then from there, these great fans that we call our own are going to reciprocate that energy. They're going to amplify that energy. They're going to bring a great spirit about going after a win together. And, I think we've all been in Fiserv Forum many, many times where we felt that, and we felt that continuity between the team and the players on the court and the fans in the stands. And who else has felt it is the opponent. And that's what we want to create more and more.
Absolutely. You put Ben Gold back in the starting lineup on Wednesday. Obviously, the lineup can change any given day, like you've always said, but having him back in the lineup as senior leader with Chase back in the lineup, what does that do for you guys on both ends of the floor?
Well, I think more important than starting is he's played really well the last 3 games. He's been active. He's been aggressive. He's rebounded the ball well. He's been a physical presence for us. And so he's played a lot, in these last 3 games, and made the decision to insert him back in the starting lineup in the last game. If we can continue his toughness, aggressiveness on the defensive end, his rebounding, and then we can add back his typical Ben Gold shooting that he's shown over 3+ years here. Then we'll really have something. Right now he's not shooting the ball as well as he has, but I believe that will come. He's just got to bounce into it and shoot it up. And excited for him and Chase to shoot the ball better, because that will help our team. Make no mistake about it. When the ball goes in the basket, whether it's layups around the basket, whether it's outside shots, that's an EGB2 for our team and for our fans.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to Saturday's game. Buffalo Wild Wings, Marquette fans. Buffalo Wild Wings is the official viewing party location for Marquette road games this season. Check out the Golden Eagles watch party schedule at gomarquette.com/BWW. The next watch party of the season will be January 13th at the Waukesha Buffalo Wild Wings. This game will be streamed on Peacock at 5:30 p.m. Let's go Sports Park. We'll be back to wrap things up here from Marquette Thursdays.
Hey Golden Eagles fans, Buffalo Wild Wings has partnered with the Marquette men's basketball team to offer you free wings this season. Anytime the Golden Eagles win, fans
of Marquette Athletics. Look, folks, thank you all again for coming out tonight. It was great to spend an hour with you guys, talk some Marquette hoops. Reminder, big game Saturday at home against Villanova, like we've mentioned, 1:30 p.m. tip-off. Be there and be loud. It's a big game, big opportunity for the guys to get on a little win streak, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you there as well. Reminder, our next show is in a couple weeks when Royce Parham joins, and we look forward to seeing you all then.
1 minute.
So thank you all for coming out as always, and let's go Marquette. Make sure to join us on select Thursday nights throughout the season to hear from head coach Shaka Smart and his players. Our next show is January 29th when Royce Parham will join us here at Motor Bar and Restaurant on the Harley Davidson Museum campus. Thank you all for being here again as always, and good night and go Marquette.